You are listening to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit, where you will discover how to be fit, sexy, and energized, even if you are a busy mom. With your host, top female fat loss and hormone specialist, Dr. Michelle Sands.
Hey mamas, Dr. Michelle Sands here, and I am super excited to bring this interview to you today. I have the pleasure and the privilege of sitting down with Dr. Pedram Shojai. Now, if you haven't heard of him, you are going to fall in love because this man is absolutely amazing. He does so many things and stays so zen, balanced, and centered, so present. He's a dad. He just had another baby. He's a husband. He is a visionary, a humanitarian. He's been a Taoist monk. He is a documentary producer and filmmaker. He's an author, a New York Times bestselling author. He is the producer and co-host of the Health Bridge podcast. He is the creator and founder of well.org, which is the go-to place for everything green living, wellness, health, personal development. And his newest book out right now, it's called The Urban Monk. And that kind of sums up what he is. He is living here in Southern California in city of Irvine, basically my neighbor. And he is just basically, he's a leader in the human community. He is a visionary for health and wellness and good-natured living humanitarian projects. He's amazing. So you're gonna take it all in. You're gonna fall in love just like I have, and I think you'll really get a lot of value out of this interview. So sit tight, relax, and enjoy.
Hi, welcome to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit. I'm your host, Michelle Sands, and today we have an awesome guest. I'm super excited to be talking to Pedram Shojai of well.org. He is an amazing man. He's not only a physician, he is a martial arts master. He spent 4 years as a Taoist monk. He also is an author, a filmmaker, and a father. So it's amazing to have him here. Welcome, Pedram. I don't know how you're still alive after all of that.
I was going to say the father part's usually the hardest because I just had one of these like kind of turnaround weekends where I realized I was looking forward to Monday because work is easier than home right now. We got a 3-week-old and a 20-month-old, and it's just pandemonium. And so we're just juggling crying babies and you know all that. And it's just like I wouldn't trade it for the world, but it's just like wow, it's so much quieter at work.
Well, you look amazingly well rested for all that you're juggling. So you must have picked up some Zen secrets when you're up in the mountains of the Himalayas.
I got to say there are some unfair advantages that I've brought.
Well, we'd love to tap into at least a little bit of what you know. I wanted to ask you about vitality. I hear you talking about vitality all the time, and I feel like it's kind of this esoteric term. And what exactly is vitality to you, and how does that relate to somebody's ability to have a fulfilled life?
Yeah, vitality is the energy of life, and I can say that in the woo-woo sense, but I could also say that in a very real, practical sense, and I kind of sit on that fence between those two worlds, so I can say that. Everything is energy, right? And so whether you are feeling moody and tired after a meal, whether you're just lagging in the morning, whether you don't have the resilience to deal with the crying baby and the angry spouse and all the kind of things that come at us all day, a lot of that is a function of how much energy we have in the bank to be able to offset some of life's challenges. And as I started dealing with thousands of patients over the years, the kind of principle of vitality started to become more and more central to what I would be asking them, which is basically when I'm engaged with someone who is having some diagnosable illness, someone who's having some emotional breakdown, going through a divorce, I mean, look, life, right? When life hits, what is it that you are doing right that's helping you get through those times, and what is it that you're doing to compromise your ability to deal, right? And a lot of it, you know, the 4 buckets that we kind of drew on for the movie Vitality that I did a few years ago now were diet, exercise, sleep, and mindset. And if you could get all of those categories working to a certain extent and kind of optimize and really if they were like if they were departments in a business, kind of eke out some profitability and kind of clean up each of those departments, what happens is the overall vitality of the system comes up and we simply feel better. We do better. We function better. It's like having cash in the pocket. It's really easy to spend it if you got it. If not, you're swiping it on some high interest credit card, and that's what most of us end up doing. So vitality is really a way of life, and it's really struck a lot of chords. I mean, internationally, this movie's done really well. And it's because we are not breaking things into all their constituent endocrine components, but kind of getting up high in orbit and looking down at life saying, okay, well, if you're really stressed out and freaked out, I don't care how much you're exercising, you're not really healthy.
Correct. Yeah, so you mentioned the energy bank account and what are some things that might take away from that? Like what are some things that we're spending our energy on that we're taking away from our ability to have that vitality to pursue our goals?
Yeah, great. So a lot of it is, interestingly enough, we're losing energy in a place where we're supposed to be gaining energy, which is food, right? So if I'm eating foods that my body doesn't recognize as food, and this happens way more often than we think because, go back 5,000 years, things that we would put in our mouth and ingest came from nature and were kind of natural and our body recognized them as natural. And usually they didn't come as a surprise because we'd had acorn in our mouth before, right? And, then fast forward to the Industrial Revolution, we're talking about Spam and hot pockets and all sorts of weird chemicals added to food. The body can usually ingest most of it, but what happens is when there's a new additive, there's a new chemical that the body doesn't recognize as something natural, it kind of like it stops the immigration line. And then the body's like, hey, what is this thing, right? And so either it will pass through and, get through and not cause any damage, which is unlikely, or it'll pass through and then cause all sorts of other, issues, which is something we could talk about, or it stops at the gate. If it stops at the gate, the body's immune system mounts up and says, hey, stranger danger, what are you doing here? This is a fight, right? And so what's happening, and we're seeing this with hundreds of thousands of people across the world, is we're developing all this autoimmunity to foods that are overwhelming our system at the immigration line, and now it's becoming this full-fledged war. So we got leaky gut, we got Hashimoto's thyroid, we got all kinds of things that zap our energy in the department of our body that's supposed to receive energy and give us, the energy we need to like run around after our kids and live our lives. So that is a big piece of it. And then the other piece, obviously, is when some of these bad guys sneak in, the body, if it knows how to detox it, it's not a problem. Your detox pathways can handle a fair amount until they're exhausted. But oftentimes when they don't know what to do with a substance, it's like, hey, I got to brush this under the rug. There's only a few places it can do it. It's either going in the fat cells, it's going in the bone, or it's getting deposited in the brain, which is mostly made of fat. Then we go on some sort of like fad diet. We decide it's time to go to some reunion. We lose the weight. All of these toxins get released back into the bloodstream. The body says, hey, what the heck is this? I thought I got rid of this. And then it can either detox it this time, which is unlikely because it didn't know what to do the last time, or it tells your thyroid to slow down so you could store fat and redeposit it as fat. So we get this yo-yo weight gain. And so we're running around exhausted because of stuff that our body doesn't know how to ingest. So that's just one example of many of places where we're getting compromised that we don't have to, because we could just make better food decisions. We could make better product decisions for home cleaning products and cosmetics and all the crap that we subject ourselves to.
Yeah, it's difficult a lot for a lot of my clients are moms, and they listen to all the different media and eat this, don't eat that, and I just kind of try to like get them down to the basics of eating real food and using real products, like the things that the ingredients to, right? And so diet is super important. And yeah, we do see a lot of autoimmune issues these days coming in. So that's something that like back to the basics always seems to work. As far as people are always overwhelmed, I think. A lot of my clients are overwhelmed with the diet, the exercise. They're not getting enough sleep, and they just don't know how to fit it all in for their lifestyle with their kids. So do you work with any moms? Have any tips for how they can stop their overwhelm and just maybe start with small steps?
Yeah. I actually talk about this a lot. I got a book coming soon called The Urban Monk, and it's really about kind of this realization I had when I came back down. I'd taken sabbatical. I was in the Himalayas. I got to travel and sit with the Dalai Lama and a number of masters. And, I got to say, that's kind of a decadent lifestyle. It's way easier to like feel enlightened up in the Himalayas where no one's bothering you and, the cards aren't honking and soccer practice hasn't gone over, right? Come down to reality where we live here. And I had to pressure test a lot of those practices against reality with really busy people in Los Angeles. And some of it stuck, some of it totally worked, and some of it was just like, right? And so there's a really big fundamental difference between these practices that are ascetic practices, which are like, give up life, be a nun, be a monk, go away, versus being a householder, which means, I can't believe ballet went over, now we're late for Kumon, right?
Yeah.
And like the reality of living in life here. And so I think one of those things is, a lot of moms in particular feel guilty. It's like, I missed that yoga class. I never take care of myself. I resent my children. I resent my life because I didn't get to do that thing that recharges me. I'm like, who the hell has an hour and a half, right? So, for me, I take 5 minutes whenever I can get it. And if I can get that hour and a half, then backflip time. I'm so happy to get what I can get. And I came from that world, and I got to say, it was decadent. It was awesome. It's really nice to sit around and like contemplate your navel and not have some kid tugging at you. But in reality, kids over there for 10 minutes, I'm going to sit down and catch my breath. I'm going to meditate throughout the day, all day, to keep my cool and not think that it doesn't count if I'm not dressed in my Lululemon and sitting in some lotus position, right? It's just, it's an unreasonable expectation that we have on ourselves because we just haven't really thought this through. And I think that the kind of spiritual community has made it more and more difficult to just practically do this stuff instead of like needing to belong to some weird thing, right? It's just breathe. Please just breathe now, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think we have like an all or nothing mentality where if we don't get the hour in, then we just might as well not do it at all. Just like if you have maybe something off your diet, then you don't start again until tomorrow. A lot of times people just feel like it's all or nothing and it's all cumulative. So I just feel like you've done such a great job of meshing the Eastern philosophies and principles of stress reduction with a high stress lifestyle. I mean, you do more than most people, and you seem to have ability to just take that time out and be in the moment. And I think a lot of times I do it myself, and a lot of my clients, we live in thinking about the past, and then we live about thinking about what we have to do, and we lose that 5 minutes. Even we lose those 5 minutes because our mind is going. So do you have any tips for how to start? Like, how can you be more in the present?
Yeah. Anchors are really good for that. And so there's a reason why many of the meditation techniques that have been taught since time immemorial have something to do with breathing. Because guess what? Breathing is real. And when you stop doing it, it starts to suck pretty quickly, right? And so remembering to tie your mindfulness with your breath is a fantastic way of making you step into the present moment and become more aware. One of the metaphors that I use that is probably going to be helpful for our listeners here is my position on meditation is that I think it was taught wrong. And, we have this kind of idea about meditation where we feel like, I have 15 open windows and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, my computer's slow and I'm feeling stressed out. Things are starting to suck. I'm going to double click meditation. And then it's like, I do some stuff and I kind of feel better. And then I close down the meditation. I go back to all my open windows. That's not how meditation should function. It should be like a virus checker in the operating system going like, hey, dude, you've got 15 open windows. That's not a great idea, right? And in doing so, you close down the windows, work on one, finish, save, close, go stretch out, open another window. So building in the mindfulness to just kind of constantly check in with yourself as you breathe and just ask yourself, what am I doing right now? Like, wow. Janet said this thing at lunchtime, and I'm still thinking about how I'm going to respond to her when I see her next. wow, that's a useful, application of my time, right? And that's what we do, right? We just pick up and we brood and we run. And because we don't take the time to check in with ourselves, we can hang on to that conversation with Janet for like an hour, maybe more, right? And that's what's taken up a lot of our bandwidth, and meditation and mindfulness really help us kind of step in and hack that.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple other things that you mentioned in your pillars, that one of them was sleep. And I know as a mom, a new mom, and a busy business person, sleep always seems to be the thing that I don't have time, so sleep is the thing that gets subtracted. And I know that's not a good practice, and I don't always practice what I preach. I talk about the importance of sleep, yet if I have a deadline, sleep seems to be the thing that goes. How do you change someone's mindset to make them understand that the sleep might be more important than the workout, the early morning workout?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a 22-day-old baby at home, so this is up front and center, right? And
Right.
There's a couple things. One is, this is our second child. So the first child, we got punched in the face. We're like, oh, whatever, we're gonna have a kid, and oh, that's different, right? And it was just like, holy crap, this is tiring, right?
Right.
This time around, we both worked into our lives and factored into our lives that there's just going to be less gas in the tank to do all those other things. So for this like 3-month period, we factored it in where, fortunately my wife is at home and she has some help. So every time the baby takes a nap, our deal is she does too, so that she can recharge. That's decadent. That's a luxury, right? And for me, I have to make sure I don't do anything to take the wind out of my sail, because this is the easiest part of my day, is working. I go home and it's just like, daddy from the older kid, and you want to be there, you want to be present, you don't want to resent them because you need to collapse on the couch because you've had such a long day, right? And so I have factored into my life that when I go home, there are 0 work calls. My friends know that I'm off limits because I'm there to be super dad and super husband first. And everything else, time passes, right?
Exactly.
These kids are young right now. In a couple months, the baby's going to be better. In a couple years, it's like, let's get together and play, have them play at the park while we talk.
Right.
And so understanding that some of these things are temporary, that you can kind of work into your calendar and understand that life is long, right? I'm 40 years old. And I've got at least, I'm not even at halfway point in my life. Like, what am I going to do for another 40 years, right? These kids are going to be grown up in a few, right? And so just taking that kind of long view perspective and leaving time to nap is really important. And having a deceleration ritual so that when it's time and the kid or the kids are down, you go down, right?
That is so interesting. That's because I talk a lot, I've read a lot from professional people and people who are very, very successful about morning rituals to ramp yourself up. And every mom knows that every child needs a nighttime ritual. You need the bath, you need the story. But no one has ever said to me that I need a nighttime ritual.
Yeah. And you know what? We will do everything we can to give that advice to our children. And our bodies are pouting, they're screaming, they're kicking, they're being just as fussy, but we've developed enough kind of cerebral armor to say, hey, shut up and stop complaining. And we just kind of push through and drink more coffee. And that is why we're in deficit, right? Give yourself that deceleration. Don't think that looking at Facebook is what's doing it for you. It's only a couple more months, right? And then it gets better. They sleep better. You'll start feeling better. And then you could kind of like bounce back and call your girlfriend and do that thing and watch that movie. I mean, I wouldn't even consider watching a movie right now. When those kids go down, we're down, right? Like, it's like we run upstairs because we don't know when the next wake-up call is going to be. It could be in like 20 minutes.
That's so true. And it's a really empowering to hear that coming from you, a man who does so many things, that like knowing that you can implement that, you can take care of your sleep. Because for me, like, my husband will say actually to me like that I'm being fussy if I didn't get enough sleep last night. So that's true. That's so true. We're just like our children. So
Totally.
We have to be good role models.
I couldn't do what I do without giving myself the time to go down. I would be a lunatic, right? And I'm a really good meditator. I'm a Qigong master. I know all this stuff, but I know that none of this stuff replaces sleep. And the same thing, like people will come to me and say, teach me some Qigong to like be, full of energy, and they're holding a Diet Coke. And I'd be like, I can't help you if you're drinking Diet Coke all day because that's poisoning you. There is no magic bullet, but I can show you a sensible way out of this mess.
Awesome. So I know you have your book coming out in February, and we have a free gift for everyone watching today, which is kind of a little intro to Urban Monk. And there's an awesome academy where people can actually learn how to take these little steps and become a lifestyle of their own and master their life. So can you talk a little bit about what that course is about?
Sure. I started a practice about 15, 20 years ago where I learned from a Qigong master where he taught me this practice. And he said, you do it every day for 100 days and you finished your gong. And if you miss a day, you start over. I was like, wow, that's pretty aggressive. But I tried it, and I think I missed day 12. And I was like, start over. And then I went, and I missed day 46. And then I came up with about 150 different excuses how I didn't really miss it, but I knew I'd missed it. So I was like, okay, damn it, start over. And then every day for those first 46 days until I finally caught up with how far I was like kicking myself,
Right.
going, I can't believe I'm redoing this. And then I just never missed a day again. And what it did was it started to build this discipline inside of me where I started building in dedicated acts of self-love. Especially as a parent, you assemble your whole life around other people, and then you feel absolutely bare and stripped and annihilated because it's never about you. So, and if look, I'm a new dad, but I could find 10 minutes to meditate. I could find 5 minutes to stretch. And as I layer those things into my daily practice and say, look, this is my gong. It's 2 items, 6 items, 10 items, depending on how much time and effort you have in your life. You start building those into your day and you make sure you get those in. Then the weeks go by and you don't feel like you're bankrupt. Your enthusiasm is gone. Your energy is gone because you're actually taking care of yourself as you go. So I was just doing this for myself, and a few friends were like, dude, you look great. What are you doing? And so I started showing them, and then I started showing students. And, I've taught students, thousands of students at this point, how to do this. And their lives get better. People do better by learning a system that works. And it's not like they're doing it for me. They pick their own items, but I just kind of walk them through it. And it's been a really, really successful model. And it's something that's been kind of homegrown in cooking for the last 20 years. Now we have this huge community and they all help each other. And it's good. I feel like a proud dad around this thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually signed up for your Urban Monk Academy myself. So I'll be going through it in the new year, and I hope everyone listening will go through it with me, because I know where I'll be in 100 days if I don't do it, but the possibilities of being 100 days if I do it are quite amazing. And I'm a health professional. I know how to eat and exercise. I know all this stuff, but sometimes as a new mom, putting this stuff into action for myself and just showing up for myself and keeping my own promises to myself are things that I need to work on, and I think this will be a great vehicle for that. So thank you, Pedram.
Well, thank you, and welcome aboard. I got to say, I go into any hospital, and most of the people there kind of know better. And, there's rampant obesity and I got doctors outside smoking during their breaks. So just because we know better doesn't mean that we take the daily actionable steps to take care of ourselves. And so I'm better on a gong. I'm always doing them. I just finished one. My next one I'm starting on December 21st. So at the time of this recording, it's, too late if you're hearing this, but I started on the winter solstice, and I constantly kind of finish, see, okay, what went right, what went wrong, what do I want my next 100 days to look like, so I could keep moving my life forward in a direction that makes me feel satisfied, right? And it makes a big difference because, look, you said it best. 100 days from now, the time's going to be gone either way. So what did you do? Did you move towards better health and happiness, or did you just let another idle 100 days go by and sit there and go, God, I really should start exercising, right?
Right, and
you got to start.
Good because it's not somebody else's program. It's your own program. It's your own things that you want to do. So that's what appeals to me. It's not just another fad program. It's not a diet. It's not an exercise. It's everything. It's a lifestyle, and it's what's most important to you. So I think that is the most amazing thing And so I hope that you guys will take the journey with me. I'm going to start mine on February 1st. So
Cool.
come with me. And
Excellent.
Pedram, thank you so much for being here. And I think that 100 days will make you happy, healthy, and hot. That's what this is all about. It's being a mom. It's taking time for yourself so you can take better time for your children. So thank you, Pedram, for all the information you've given us. And we can find you on well.org, also on the Urban Monk podcast and the Health Bridge podcast as well, right?
Yep. So theurbanmonk.com for the Urban Monk podcast. Well.org is my universe. All of it, you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Pedram. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. And thank you all for listening. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you received a lot of value out of this interview. I know that I did. I want you to open up to the possibility of making this new year the greatest opportunity that you have had so far to improve your life. This is about breaking out of paradigms. It's about learning the art of living. It is about honoring who you are as a woman as you discover who you are as a mother. It is about taking care of your body, mind, and spirit so that you can take better care of your family and be a shining example, a role model for your children so that they can grow up to be healthy, happy, and successful. I promise to continue to bring you educational, empowering, and inspiring content to help you achieve the body that you dream about and the life that you are meant to live. Stay tuned for more value-packed interviews and be sure to check out all the resources on my website, metabolicmama.com. Until next time, wishing you a happy, healthy, hot day. Take care, mamas.